Well, author and economic anthropologist at the London School of Economics, Jason Hickel, joins us now from London. Jason, thank you very much indeed for joining us. I don't know if you've always been a degrowther, but I've been following your Twitter account for the past year and a half or so, and I believe that you must definitely fall in that field and are one of the world's major proponents of this theory. Have we given a decent synopsis of what degrowth is?
Yes, more or less. Yeah, it's I mean, I'm a communicator about some of these ideas, but there's actually a strong scientific consensus among many people in ecological economics that this is the important way to go. So yeah, basically, I mean, the problem with our economy is that we for some reason assume that every sector of the economy needs to grow every year, regardless of whether or not we actually need it. And this is leading to extraordinary levels of ecological breakdown. And so we need to have a more rational approach to the economy and think about what sectors we actually need to grow. So sectors that are important for human well-being, like public health care, renewable energy, public transportation, and so on. And then what sectors of the economy are clearly too big, unnecessary for society, and could actually be scaled down. Things like SUV production, or industrial beef, or arms, advertising, planned obsolescence, things like that. Like there are huge chunks of our economy that are totally irrelevant to human well-being, and we can scale that down so as to build an economy that is organized around human flourishing and ecological stability, rather than perpetual expansion for its own sake.
I love the holistic approach to degrowth, but there is a reality regarding the world we live in, Jason, and of course we have to find, or you have to find, or whoever believes in degrowth has to find people with whom this idea gains traction. Because if they're normal citizens, they would then need to vote for the politicians who would go with the idea of degrowth, or immediately you've got to persuade governments. So where is the traction coming from?
Yeah, this is an important one. So the key thing to realize is that our existing economy doesn't benefit ordinary people. It's clearly not working for the majority of people, right? It generates perpetual crises of inequality. Poverty is a big problem even in wealthy nations like Britain and the USA. Unemployment is a perpetual issue as well. So the key thing to realize is that it's not working. We need to demand a better economy that actually does provide for human needs. And that can be done while at the same time scaling down the parts of the economy that are presently organized around the interests of rich people. And so I really see this as working class movements can get behind this call, because the idea is, why should we destroy our planet and waste our labor in favor of production that does not benefit human well-being, but rather benefits elite accumulation? Instead, let's change how we allocate resources and labor in the first place. And we know that it's possible for high-income nations to dramatically scale down excess resource use, while at the same time improving people's lives. And so that should really be the vision that we're after here.
Where does technology come into this theory in terms of how we can change the methods of production, in terms of what we produce, what we consume, and the way automation is going? People are already concerned that there are going to be job losses. So if there's degrowth and less stuff is being made and people are buying less stuff, that's going to mean that there's less manufacturing. So will jobs then suffer through the idea of degrowth?
Yeah, so one of the problems with our existing economy is that we can't have a conversation about scaling down unnecessary sectors because of the constant specter of unemployment, right? So, but that doesn't need to be the case. We can shorten the working week and distribute existing necessary labor more fairly, so that we take the benefits of reductions in excess resource throughput in the form of more leisure time, more time with our communities, more time to invest in caring and regenerative activities, and so on. So shortening the working week is key to maintaining full employment, despite a reduction in the aggregate labor required in the economy. So you have to ask yourself, right? Like, if we have an economy right now that requires us to produce things that are not necessary for human well-being, that's a waste of human labor. We shouldn't be doing that. It's both socially destructive as well as ecologically destructive, and we can be smarter than that.
Who should go first, Jason? Should it be consumers who actually buy less, or should it be manufacturers who make fewer products, because somebody's going to have to set the ball rolling here. And if we're buyers and we just don't buy as many products, clearly the manufacturers won't make as many. But if they don't make as many, we won't have as much choice. So we'll buy less. Who would go first? Who should go first?
Well, look, I mean, I think that's, of course, especially, high-consuming households should, of course, think about ways to scale down excess consumption. But ultimately, the critique that degrowth makes is that this is not really about blaming consumers. Why? It's really a problem of the way our economy is structured. Our economies are structurally dependent on perpetual expansion, which is an ecologically insane way to arrange an economy. And so humans become a victim of the system in the sense of they are then made to consume and mop up all of the excess production. And sometimes that's unnecessary, like in the sense of we have to buy, new smartphones every 2 or 3 years because they're designed to break down, right? And so even if we don't want to, we're effectively forced to do so. Or maybe we have to buy cars just to get around because there's no decent public transportation. So in lots of ways, people become victims of a system that demands perpetual increases in private consumption. So by thinking more structurally about the problem, which is what degrowth does, let's scale down parts of the economy we don't actually need, and make sure that we expand parts of the economy that are actually essential to human well-being. And I think that's a much more rational way forward.
Jason, it's really encouraging that almost every answer you've given me has included how the planet itself will benefit from the idea of degrowth. And I've been discussing with you, so please, let's do it sometime in the new year, okay? Let's have a longer discussion. We'll get a climate activist on as well, because I know you're really into the climate, and we'll have a discussion about degrowth and the planet specifically. Take care, have a good Christmas, and a Happy New Year. Jason Hickel.